Run, river, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me. Run.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest today. We have one of Upton's own. We have Michelle Antinarelli, and she is a candidate running for selectman and library trustee, and she's reminded me that she was on last year, too. I asked, it's got to be something different. Usually with us girls, it could be our hair, it could be anything. I don't know what it is, but welcome back.
Thank you.
Now, what really is driving you? What's the big issues?
So the big issues are issues for everybody in this town, and it really has to do with the increase in our taxes. I'm approaching a little more quickly than I want retirement age, and I have people that I've been speaking to who are in retirement age, and they can't foresee being able to live out their retirement years here in Upton.
Aha.
So I'm approaching it from both aspects as a candidate for Board of Selectmen, because my own daughters, we moved here 20 years ago. They grew up here in Upton. They're now living here in Upton. One of them just built her home in Upton. And so I'm looking at, potentially maybe fur babies, but grandchildren too. Mm-hmm. And so I want the school systems to stay strong. And when the school system is accountable for 56% of our budget, I can't say we just have to cut taxes. That would be unreasonable and unrealistic, and it would be counterproductive. On the other end of things, I want to live out my years. Steve and I have been living here for more than 20 years. We're not going anywhere. Our family business is just next door in Milford. Our kids are here. My mother-in-law's here. Our family's here. We want to stay here.
And it's like if you want to sell your home, okay, good market, you'll get a good price, but it still might not be enough to get. You could get into the condo, but God help you with the HOA fees. Those are ridiculous. Is there anything people can do about this?
So that's exactly what we have to do as a village, as a town. We have to look at other ways to diversify the tax base and to increase income. So we're looking at zoning. The Economic Development Committee is actively looking at possibly some rezoning so that people can have small businesses in their home, so that they can rent space to other people that might want to be living here in Upton. That's only one slice of the answer, but it would certainly help the people who are living here stay here.
I love what she just said when she walked in, and she said, it's been dear to my heart for so long. If you have extra space, let's say you've got one of those, with all due respect, McMansions, let's face it, okay, a big one, and the kids are gone. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? Myself, if I had one of those, rent. Fix up have the basement, right? Furnished.
Right.
Give someone a home so they could stay in town. And it's win-win. You get an income.
And presumably, because you're only renting out part of your house or a basement or apartment, we're not talking about a huge burden on the other infrastructure, on the school system, on the fire department, on the police department. We're talking about making best use of the space we have.
Oh, I fully agree with this. I really do.
The other area that we really need to do much better in is grant funding.
Oh.
Upton has not been chasing grant funding in the ways that they could. And, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think people just didn't know grant funding was available. People don't know how to complete the forms. People don't know, even what's possibly a grant that you could get something for. Sure. So I think a concentration in those areas of looking at grant funding across the board in every department and every committee, and maybe we need some training about how to do that. Certainly that's a very inexpensive proposition of just some training on how to do.
When people apply for a grant, Michelle, I don't know. Do they have to, let's say they're granted the grant, do you have to pay it back, or is it a gift that's granted to you?
So grants are grants. Now, that there are subsidies, there are loans, there are different things, but grants, by and large, are upfront grants. There has to be sometimes matching funds, which is when we have to go back to town meeting and go to the townspeople and say, we got so much money, but we have to match it. But by and large, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about money that we have paid for through our taxes, through supporting nonprofit organizations, through supporting large corporations, there's a lot of money out there that is dedicated to helping people, to helping public servants, to helping nonprofit organizations, and we just haven't capitalized on that, and we really, really need to.
We're talking with Michelle Antinarelli, and she is running as a candidate here in Upton for Selectman and Library Trustee. This was your first year doing it this past year, or have you done it before?
No, I ran for Board of Selectmen last year.
Yeah.
And so this year I'm running for 2 positions because, I don't know, because I think it's a good idea.
You're busy. How do you find the time?
Well, see, that's just exactly it. I have the time now, and that's a gift. My daughters are grown; they're making their own lives. I'm, seasoned in my profession. Obviously, continuing with professional development, but I have the time. I don't have other demands or other people that I need to address and
have you enjoyed
compete.
it being on the?
So I'm actually a really shy person.
You?
Yes,
No
I'm very
way.
shy. I'm very shy. Yes. So if I don't speak to you, it's because I'm shy, not because I don't want to know what you think. I'm absolutely a shy person. So that part is a little bit hard for me, just going up to people. But I love learning.
Yeah.
I love hearing people's stories. I love asking questions. So that hasn't been
That hasn't been that hard.
that hasn't been work. And I love research. If you give me a topic, I'm really interested in reading more about it, looking up more about it, asking questions about it.
It would be nice to have a woman on the selectmen.
I think so.
Select people. We'll have to say select persons now.
Select people, select individual. I don't know. We have to work on that. It doesn't flow off the tongue. But
You also told me, Michelle, that you take care of people with medical problems too.
So I'm an orientation and mobility specialist, and I work with people 0 to 99 who've either acquired vision loss or were born with vision loss. And I work on travel skills. Currently, I'm employed by a town, so I work with the school children.
Here, right in town.
No, not in it's actually in Lexington, Massachusetts. Wonderful, wonderful school district, and I've worked there for a very long time. And so I get to see people's lives changed instantaneously. The difference between being able to get up and walk to the bathroom by yourself versus somebody holding your hand and getting you there is fulfilling every minute, every day.
Have you been
it's
doing
very
this for
exciting.
years? Or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So
Yeah.
my daughter was born with visual impairment, and when she got into school, I went back to school for this. So she gave me 2 careers, mom and an orientation mobility specialist. But I love what I do.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I advocate and I work with people who are just trying to have an ordinary day.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I used to volunteer with a fellow who was called legally blind, but he definitely could still see.
Mm-hmm.
And my great-grandmother lived to be 96. She was legally blind, but she had glasses, but she would have, what they used to use, those little magnifying.
Mhm.
She could still read.
Mm-hmm.
She could do it.
So legally blind is just it's the definition whereby you sort of start getting or stop getting benefits from the government. So you can be not legally blind, but still have significant visual impairment, still be unable to drive, still be disadvantaged in many ways and need support and equipment, but you're not quote legally blind. So I look at vision impairment. It's a spectrum, and where you are in the spectrum is also dependent on where you are as a person. So some people with the very same, what we call acuity, can be very functional or dysfunctional, and so it's all about what people's needs are.
If you have any questions for Michelle, who's running for trustee and selectman here in Upton, how can they reach you?
So my email is Michelle4 Upton@charter.net. So that's Michelle with 2 L's.
Yeah.
I also have a website that is whatsupton.news, and you're welcome to submit questions through the website, anonymously or otherwise. And I'm hoping that people will have some questions and have some ideas for me, because that's my biggest thing that I think about here in Upton is we have a wealth of knowledge. We have a large number of highly educated professional people, and I understand at different times in my life I didn't have time to come and volunteer at the town. I have time now, but everybody has ideas.
Yeah.
And the solutions to our financial quagmire are out there. They're among all of the different people. There's all different answers. So one area that I think we could also do a little work on to reduce our taxpayer load is to look at regionalization of services. So
Now,
we've
what's
already
that? What's that?
we've already regionalized the school, right?
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
work with Mendon in schools, and we have an excellent school system.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to afford that as a single town. So we have other services, and we have, police, we have fire, we have very small department here, excellent departments in police and fire, and there are other excellent departments nearby. Looking at ways that we can either regionalize services or regionalize resources. And by that I mean, we just had the fire chief look into a grant with other towns for updating radio equipment. So it changes nothing in the complexion of our town, but by applying with another town for that grant, I'm hoping we get it. It seems
Yeah.
to me that it serves more than
Blending
one
in
need.
with Mendon, right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
So regionalization is looking and outreach to other towns nearby and seeing where do we overlap and where can we support one another.
Yeah,
And it
definitely.
also, I think, in the long term, when we talk about small departments, and people sort of come in and they work in these small departments, there's not much room for growth as an individual. You're sort of going to be a small town firefighter or police department officer, which is great. But some people have different ideas in their mind, and they want progression, or they want upward mobility, or they want to do something different. And so I think there's room for both when we look at regionalization. We have ways for people to carve a long-term pathway for upward mobility, and we have people that like doing one job and just want to expand how well they do it. And both of those are needed. Both of those are
When is
valuable.
election day for this?
So elections are May 14th,
Okay.
which they're held at the Nipmuc High School.
Yep.
But also important, I just want to call out, town meeting is May 2nd.
Yes, the big one.
The big
The
one.
big one.
And this is where people need to be involved. I know it's
Yeah.
difficult.
Are you going to be speaking at all?
I have 3 citizens petitions that I'm bringing to the floor. One of them will definitely be heard. The other 2 were it's unclear if they'll actually make it to the floor. So,
Oh, that'll
yeah.
be, so we will see you at the town meeting.
I will be at the town meeting, and I'll be very shyly at the speaker trying to assert.
Yeah, that's good. Now, is there anyone running opposed to you on this?
Yes. So for the Board of Selectmen, there are 2 people running against me. And then for the library trustee position, there are 2 3-year seats, and there are 3 candidates for those
I
2
didn't know
seats.
that. That's quite, that's
Isn't
amazing.
it awesome?
Yeah.
I kind of hope they both the other people get in. I kind of hope they don't know,
Yeah.
I mean, the more people that are involved at the committee level, at
Sure.
the town level,
Yeah.
the richer this town is.
What do you think about the big proposal about changing our whole area over here and tearing down certain things, making a rotary? What do you think?
So that's multiple questions.
Yeah. It's a biggie.
Let's back up for a minute. I am an alternate on the Economic Development Committee, and what that means is the Board of Selectmen named at the committee request an alternate because somebody was going to be out of town for a prolonged period, and they wanted to make sure the committee work went
Right.
forward.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the committee was very welcoming, and I've been an active participant since being named to that committee. And the difference is, if we don't have all 5 other members, I can vote, and if there's only 4 members, I can't. But of course, they welcome my input, so that part has been very exciting. The key thing I guess people should know about the downtown revitalization project is that when it's being presented at the town meeting, it's a big vision. So most importantly, I think nobody could object to the vision, which is that the downtown looks nicer, that the sidewalks are expanded and made safer for traveling downtown, that we set some zoning requirements, so any new building that goes on down there has to sort of look how we want it to look, a quaint New England town. I mean, very specific zoning and requirements around, what the buildings are even going to look like.
Yeah.
But the first step is accepting the vision that this is a possibility, that this is how we want things to look. The next steps are a separate article that's going to be on town floor, and it's obviously somewhat controversial.
Yes.
Because there are no guarantees.
Right.
So the Economic Development Committee and the work group crafted a very a heartfelt and passionate vision that included having Holy Angels repurposed and utilized within the development plan. That is the hope, that is the wish, that is the objective of the entire working group, because the Economic Development Committee did not shape the vision. They had the work group with an outside consultant shape the vision. So it was very clear to me that that's important to people. But just because you accept the vision doesn't mean that something is going to happen to the church.
Right.
That's a separate article. That's a separate issue. And just because if town meeting accepts the vision of what's going to happen, with the church and the parking lot, that doesn't mean, it sort of doesn't mean anything yet, because there's going to be more opportunities for the community to weigh in on what they want to have happen. So there's sort of no hard and fasts in any of this.
I'm trying to picture a rotary here.
Well, so that's not part of the Economic Development Committee vision.
Yeah.
And in fact, when the working group looked at it, the rotary never made it onto the idea. That's state level, because that's Route 140.
Okay, so that's really not super on our ballot right now.
That is not on our ballot at all right now.
all
That's
right.
not something that we're looking at. That's not something that we're considering. And when you see the vision that the working group put forward, there's no rotary anywhere to be found. And in fact, there was heavy consensus against it.
Yeah.
So no, that's not something that the Economic Development Committee is proposing
Not
at all.
focusing on that, right?
No, that's it's a parallel issue, but it's sort of at the state level. Now, from my understanding, and I guess the better person to discuss this with would be the town manager, Derek Brindisi, is to sort of talk with him about how the town is involved with influencing the state's design of the street coming
Does
through.
does a town have much influence with the state, do you think, on the designs?
So yes and no. I mean, yes and no. Obviously the state design is going to come from the needs of the state, and then the town preference is going to address the needs of the town.
Right.
So yes, they influence one another, and certainly the public can definitely influence what happens there.
Michelle,
next.
again, how can they reach you?
So my email is Michelle, 4, Upton @charter.net, and also through my website, which is whatsupton.news.
We're talking again with Michelle Antinarelli, and I said it right again. She's Upton candidate for selectman and library trustee. Now, for selectman, is there anybody else running right
Yes,
now?
there are 2 people running for selectman besides me.
Okay, so there'll be 3 of you.
3
up
of
for-
us, yes.
Okay, and there's going to be 4 of you up for library trustee, is it?
No, there's 3 up for library, but 2 spots open.
Okay, all right. So, now this is going to be an interesting race.
Races, yes.
To make it clear that everybody's welcome to come on the show and talk about their viewpoint.
Absolutely, and I hope they do. They do. There will be a candidates night hosted by the Bloomer Girls.
Yeah,
on
I
May
know. I
9th.
chaired it one time in the auditorium. It didn't even come across on the television. You could see it, but you couldn't. The acoustics were so bad.
So the last year, the candidates night was held in the fire department, so the acoustics and everything was much better.
Good.
But we're going to have a bigger. It depends on how many people accept the invitation, I guess. So a bigger panel on the stage. I don't know where it's going to be hosted.
Yeah.
I just know that the date is May 9th. So.
I know. I subbed for Dave Lepper. Our
Okay.
our Mr. Moderator.
Yeah.
Hello, Dave. They're neighbors of ours, and so I got up there. I don't think I'd ever chaired or hosted a political debate type of thing, and got through it, no problem. But then we were so disappointed because, darn it, when it aired on the television, it was like the acoustics.
So the nice thing about, because I was part of the candidates night last year, the nice thing about it was we really were just fielding questions from people in the audience. And, Dave was essentially a timekeeper.
Yeah.
So it became less of a debate and more of, colleagues sort of each discussing their perspective around an issue, which I think is really important that's how we conduct candidates nights and opportunities for people to get to know positions, because you may be great at arguing a point,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not what people want to have right there. They want to know what are you all about?
Where do you stand?
And where do you
And
stand?
let them make up their minds.
Right.
Are you excited?
I am. A little nervous, but excited, very excited.
Well, so now you've already got your feet wet.
right.
So, and then something really is triggered in you to want to keep going, right?
Yeah, so last year was sort of my first foray into becoming more involved at the local level. I've done a lot of advocacy and public policy advancement at the regional and national levels for people who are blind and visually impaired, most of whom have additional disabilities. So my whole investment has always been in the disenfranchised, the people whose voice is not heard because often they're not even at the table.
Right.
So my heart is in inclusion, and my heart is finding ways to making sure that more people are involved. And what I have found here in Upton is that people who are not involved aren't uninvolved because they don't want to be. They don't know how, or they're intimidated, or they only have a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've really loved over the past couple of years is watching this move towards transparency and openness.
Let's hope.
Well, we're making
Here,
huge
yeah,
gains.
but on the on the
Well-
national, not so much on the
Well, we
national.
can't talk about national
No, no, no.
politics.
Whoa!
Yeah, let's go. But here in Upton, I mean, we have meetings that are scheduled on the calendar, and people can see them, and they're scheduled in advance. There's agendas that are posted. There are minutes posted after the fact. And what I've really loved, it's been a process over the past year. I've been to so many meetings. I've been to Recreation Committee meetings, Finance Committee meetings, Board of Selectmen meetings, Board of Health meetings, Personnel Board meetings. And what I'm seeing more and more is that people are inviting public comment after after the agenda has been addressed. And that's where I feel like the community is being welcomed in to come in and ask questions, because this is our community.
Yeah.
And for a long time, we still have this, God bless the people that are on multiple committees. We have so many people that are just donating their time night after night at town hall, 2 or 3 nights a week, 2 and 3 weeks running. I mean, that's crazy. And it really speaks to the heart of people and the passion of people and how much they care about
Right.
this town and their neighbors. But now I really feel it's an
Yeah.
opportunity for more people to step up,
Yeah.
lighten some of that load.
Well, you were like a
and-
powerful example for other people. Like, look how she's. You admit you say you're shy. I don't see it, but she says she's. And you're having absolutely no problem on camera. Absolutely none that I can see.
Okay, well,
Oh.
don't look, I'm not biting my nails, but I will after.
Michelle, are you an avid reader because you're interested in becoming a trustee at the library? Is that near and dear to your heart?
I am an avid
Me too,
reader.
yeah.
My husband will laugh. He'll tell you I read 2 or 3 books a week.
A week?
And
One at each. You take turns with the books. She's like,
no, I like to read all the way through. I don't like to switch out.
in a week you can make
Yes. My husband laughs. He says, "You didn't read that page," because I am a very fast reader.
Whoa, yeah.
Now, depending on the topic, I'll move slower and I'll take notes. But yes, reading is a passion of mine, and one of my concerns with the library is accessibility.
Yeah.
So my mom is homebound, my mother-in-law is homebound, and my mother lives in another town, and then I have other people that I'm very close to. So unfortunately, I don't make nearly as much use of this library as I should, because I'm bringing my books to my mom, and then she might loan them out to somebody, and I'll never see them again. And also my daughter being born with visual impairment, when she was little, we were using the Talking Books Library and the Perkins Library, and actually I was buying a lot of books before she was into chapter books and basically retyping the font in larger print and gluing it in for her. So I feel I haven't been, like I said, an avid library user here in town, but I look at the challenge it is getting in and out of this building, the challenge it is moving around in this building, and I've heard people say, my wife is elderly, and I hope she can get into the library before she dies.
It is so important. I cannot imagine. I go to all the different local libraries. I can't imagine not having access. We had kudos to Bert Chandler, Attorney Chandler from Worcester. He was on recently. He wrote a book, and God bless him, he's in a wheelchair. And I didn't realize that he couldn't really basically get up to get on the steps. So actually they had to help him get just those from the sidewalk. And then he made it, and then we have our chairlift out here. People need that. We don't have an elevator, but you do have one of those chairlifts. He enjoyed writing that up. That was a great bonus. That's a good point. But it was very, very difficult, and it shouldn't be. We need a real rapido there.
Well, and it's not just that. It's is lighting is an issue, I look at the library as the one place that everybody can be included
And relax.
Right?
It's like a peaceful spa.
Right. And it's not just physical accessibility. It's I work with people with intellectual impairments, and I'm thinking the library is the center of a town. It's the heart of a town, and being able to utilize it and share and be together. This is the one place. It's different. We look at sporting activities, and we have kids that want to be highly competitive, and we have kids that probably wouldn't be competitive, and putting them on the field sometimes it doesn't work out well. No. But the library is the one place where it doesn't matter what your age is, it doesn't matter what your reading level is, it doesn't matter, even language issues. This is the place that we can all get together.
So we've got a couple of minutes left. Michelle, so if you are on the committee, the trustees here at the library, what's the one most important thing that you'd like to see changed or improved upon, or what?
Well, accessibility overall.
Yeah.
I love the library staff here has really done wonderful things with reaching out to some of our shut-in communities and bringing books to them, and those are all important things, and those speak to the heart of the people in this library, and the heart of the staff, and the heart of previous trustees and current trustees. But there's a different level between going into a space, choosing your own book, having the time to do it, being with other people in your community, and feeling comfortable there, and being able to have the programs in this library, which is not just an accessibility issue, it's a space issue. And I'm so excited that the library trustees right now are working on, what are we going to do next? How are we going to make this happen? And I just want to be part of that, because
Definitely.
I have a lot of energy for it.
And you can tell.
And I have a huge passion for it.
We've been talking with Michelle Antinarelli, and she is an Upton candidate for the trustee position as well, one of those positions, as well as selectman. And this is going to be very exciting on May 14th. That's election day. Please consider Michelle, but everybody's welcome. We're not one-sided here. And one last time, how can they get a hold of you if they have questions?
So my email is Michelle, 4, Upton@charter.net, and I also have a website that is whatsupton.news, and you can submit questions and look at some of my perspectives on that website.
This is exciting. Thank you for being with us, and good luck.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time. Be my guest.